When it comes to telling stories about demons, a typical trope you will find will be a demon who has a heart, and I believe that is best shown through the man himself, Kurama. Welcome back to the Best of Characters, where we talk about the best characters that Shonen Jump has to offer. Today, we're talking about the ancient fox thief, Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. The man is a sweet and charming individual, but don't let that fool you. Kurama is like a rose, beautiful and elegant on the exterior, but can be rather prickly, filled with thorns the closer you look at him. He came out being what I believe to be the MVP of the Dark Tournament arc, and his skills and intellect are always highlighted in the battles that he's a part of, showing the sheer respect that he gets from his friends and foes alike. To understand Kurama, we first need to understand the other sides that make him who he is. During the story, Kurama has a bit of an issue with identity. Kurama was originally a fox spirit named Yoko that was hunted down and, to flee from the bounty hunter, possessed a child named Shuichi after being injured from said bounty hunter. He eventually felt love for his mother and decided to stay to make sure that she was not alone. Because of this, there are three different sides of the character. We got Yoko, the fox spirit, Shuichi, the child, and the culmination of the two in Kurama. Yoko is this badass fox thief that Kurama gets access to during the Dark Tournament arc, and has one of the sickest entries I have ever seen. He is the merciless form of Kurama, the one that will make sure you suffer in the worst ways possible. Yoko comes out as a last resort and means business. Meanwhile, Shuichi is a middle school student who is very popular and also is the smartest in the school. And then you have Kurama, who is a blend between the two, having to balance school life and taking care of his mother while also fighting for the sake of the humans, making him half human and half demon in every aspect to each side. I do like that Yoko is mainly there to give Kurama a boost, like how he wasn't the one to beat Karasu, but pushed Karasu enough to have Kurama be able to go for the win. Meanwhile, Kurama has to rely on Yoko at times, like against Sensui. Sensui was a genuine whole tier above not only Kurama, but also Hiei and Kuwabara, and all three of them needed to go all out to even have a chance against Sensui, and that includes Yoko at full force. Yoko is not the only one who does inhumane acts. Yoko bleeds into Shuichi, making sure that you know that the demon is not merely Yoko. One of the most sadistic things that ever happens in the already pretty sadistic series that is Yu Yu Hakusho is what Kurama does to Elder Toguro. During the Chapter Black arc, someone that was blocking the gang from rescuing Kuwabara, who was kidnapped, was a child named Amanuma, who had the ability to be the boss in a game and force others to play against him in those games and win to proceed. Amanuma was led on by Sensui and tricked him into playing a game where the end result would be that the boss dies. Sensui figured that out and forced Kurama to make the decision to lose and not kill Amanuma, who is oblivious to this reality, or win and move on to save Kuwabara at the cost of killing Amanuma. Kurama wins, and with a cold exterior, is then challenged by Gourmet, a subordinate of Sensui, who ended up being Elder Toguro, and goaded Kurama to fight him by bringing up Amanuma's fate. Kurama then traps Elder Toguro in a parasite tree that causes the target to receive illusions while the tree is sapping the life out of him. But since Elder Toguro can't die, he's stuck like that forever. It's a fate worse than death, because at least death, there's a sweet release. We see something that Yoko doesn't even do, and that guy loves torture. Of course, if this were to happen to anyone, it's probably fine that it happened to Elder Toguro. That guy was like the absolute worst, to where even his younger brother turned on him, so don't feel too bad. Since Kurama is a caring demon, his mother is typically the cause of issue for him. Whether it is him trying to save her life of illness by sacrificing his own through the Mirror of Darkness, or if it's during the Dark Tournament and a demon has his familiar stalking his mother and will devour her at the click of a button, or if it is to make sure that he aids in Yomi's conquest during the Three Kings arc by having assassins posted by his parents and brother if Kurama acts out of line. Kurama's mom gets kidnapped a lot, or at least threatened a lot. The ones that threaten his mother's lives are both demons, trying to show just how low certain demons are willing to stoop to, and the personal attacks we could potentially expect from the Dark Tournament or the Three Kings arc. Kurama's weakness is his mother, and unfortunately, it's apparently not too hard to figure that out. If Roto, a nobody demon from the first round of the Dark Tournament, has enough dirt on Kurama to find out about his mother, I'm sure it's not too hard to learn about his compassionate side. Kurama just wants to make sure that his mother is alright, and loses it at the sight of someone threatening her. Kurama's relationship with his mother is really where his character shines and he gains his empathy. Seeing her in such a frail state pushes Kurama to help her and make sure that she's taken care of, which she eventually gets through her new husband. But that empathy he gains there really makes the character who he is. Kurama laying his life on the line for his mother pushes Yusuke to do the same, causing them to become lifelong allies. He's compassionate to Kuwabara to where he helps him by being a proper guide in the unknown with spirit energy, not to mention the everlasting partnership between him and Hiei. These three hold special relationships with Kurama in their own ways. Kuwabara is just a human, but a gifted one at that, and Kurama recognized Kuwabara's ability and invested in him, with the only other person doing that in the series is the series GOAT, Genkai. I get that Kuwabara loses a lot, but he is in fact one of the strongest humans in that verse, and he would not have gotten there if it wasn't for the patience and true desire to help him upgrade his abilities. Regarding him and Yusuke, any interaction between the two is always a treat for me. I love their rather reasonable dialogue, and their allyship is so flawless because the two of them trust each other because of the Mirror of Darkness. Yusuke didn't want Kurama's mother to have to deal with a dead child because he made his mother experience that earlier, and that maturity showed Kurama that he could trust Yusuke when it came down to it, and proves that throughout the series. Facing in the third round of the Dark Tournament, Kurama and Yusuke are the only ones that are able to fight. Kurama puts any form of pride he had to the side and makes sure to go first so that he could carve the path for Yusuke to mow down the rest of the team. There's also that time where he also staged a mutiny against Yomi for the sake of Yusuke. Yusuke proposed a tournament for the Demon Realm to decide its ruler, and Kurama, alongside all the highlights from the Dark Tournament that were alive and whatnot, appeared out of nowhere and told Yomi, one of the big three of the Demon Realm, who Kurama was working for, that he would go against him if he didn't want to do the tournament. It is a very welcome act of loyalty that Kurama does here. Despite the fact that they are friends and Kurama is also doing this for his self-interest, him and Yusuke are not on the same side at this point in the story. But Kurama still sees past that and believes in Yusuke to be able to make sufficient change in the Demon Realm. And you know what? He's right, and ends up making the Demon Realm a better place because of it. Now, you can't really have a video about Kurama and not talk about his relationship with Hiei. Kurama and Hiei met a year before the series took place, with Hiei, who was acting under misinformation, was an assassin targeting Kurama. The two then teamed up to beat 8 Hands. Since then, they had become an inseparable duo who works flawlessly, even when they just met each other. They both instantly realized that fighting separately would provide ineffective results against 8 Hands and started fighting together without saying a word. Yu Yu Hakusho has our 4 main characters, but you can also really view it as 2 groups in Yusuke and Kuwabara and Kurama and Hiei. The silent duo with one of them acting rashly constantly, with the other watching every possible scenario to make sure that the partner's back is covered. For someone as lonesome as Hiei, it really shows to Kurama's character that Hiei is just so willing to work with him. Hiei respects power above all else, and to see him respect Kurama as fast as he did with Yusuke with, he's the main character and all, so they kinda have to get along. The fact that Kurama won over Hiei that fast is a subtle but very effective way to show that Kurama has the chops to stand on his own during a fight. I also really enjoy the fact that Kurama has plant powers, and what is usually the weakness to plants? Well, it's fire, which is something that Hiei has, but is not something that he would ever deploy on his partner. Even though the two fight in completely opposite ways, their understanding of each other makes them a near unstoppable force that was an issue for quite literally anyone that came across them throughout the series. Kurama is the #1 balanced fighter. He always fights in ways that will cover his own weakness. He uses his extreme intelligence and awareness to analyze any situation he is in to make sure that he is never truly cornered. Kurama takes into account all possibilities that could occur in the heat of the moment and takes the proper precautions so that he is not caught lacking. Yoshihiro Togashi, author of Yu Yu Hakusho, used Kurama as a tool to show off the creepy fighters. It makes sense for Kurama to fight the creepy and overly technical characters because Kurama is smart enough to get out of any situation. There was a time in the Dark Tournament where he has to fight someone who could restrict his movements via paint, so he uses his Rose Whip to entangle his hair and attack. That guy then seals Kurama's powers for 10 minutes after he's defeated, and Kurama immediately has to fight right after that, and still manages to pull off a draw! Kurama and Yusuke were the only ones who could fight, as the rest of the teammates were either injured or trapped by the tournament interfering. Kurama needed to pull through and take out as many as possible so that Yusuke could take out the rest. This is the biggest highlight of the tournament for me regarding Kurama, despite him getting Yoko in this arc. But his craftiness and ability to get whatever needs to be accomplished is a testament to how he is a force to be reckoned with from all angles, not just in power. The other big fight that I wanted to highlight regarding Kurama is not really about a fisticuffs, but more of an intellectual battle between him and Kaito. At the time, Kurama believed that Yusuke's soul was in danger, and that Kaito was holding it hostage. And Hiei, Kuwabara, and Botan all get their souls taken thanks to Kaito's territory, which allows souls to be taken by those who says things with letters arranging in a certain order. Kurama and Kaito go through a word game then, and Kurama still pulls through when everyone else was defeated so easily. Kurama fights kind of dirty, surveying the scene and waiting for the best opportunity to strike at his opponents. I mean, he literally lays seeds and buries it in his opponents, which has plants growing out of people like nobody's business. He really puts the statement, silent but deadly, to its limit because the amount of people that like to talk shit in this series, even for shonen manga, is quite high. So there are a fair bit of moments where Kurama doesn't talk back until he's already taken a beating and his opponents think he's won just for him to get the get back. It's perfect. Kurama is the perfect complementary piece to a series like Yu Yu Hakusho. His inspiring efforts to see the mission through in an orderly and timely fashion helps keep the ragtag group of ruffians in order and make sure to look out for those he cares about. His compassionate and earnest soul is a wonderful accompanying role to play as one of our main characters, and Yu Yu Hakusho simply would not be the same without Kurama. That's all I got. If you like what you heard, consider liking and subscribing, as it would mean a lot. If you have any thoughts on the video or any ideas for future videos, please leave those in the comment section down below. Other than that, I'm out of here. Okay, bye.